So welcome everybody back to another episode of the INTUNE podcast with myself, Ashley Velvet Frost. And today we have the wonderful Matthias Royan, who is joining us. And he is joining in from the very sunny Portugal. And I have asked him to be here because Matthias has been part of my own journey in terms of my breathwork and my emotional release practice. And he is an expert for inner freedom, breathwork facilitator, and yoga extraordinaire is probably the best way to describe him. And somebody I've wanted to have on the podcast because of his grounded presence, very innate wisdom and calmness of aura, I think is the best way to say it. So Matthias, it's really lovely to have you here. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ashley. I was very happy when you asked me to do this session because I I love so much that I have so many people around me and whom I work with, whom I can teach something which I have learned through my journey, and to bring out this calmness you just described, which is shaking right now by in a way, because I have to get my own stability because I just moved to Portugal and everything is new. But all of these resources I have are amazing tools I can use to go through this challenge. Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Of course, it's really an honor. I'm super excited. And yeah, for a bit of context, Matthias was one of the facilitators at my emotional release training and guided us through the wonders of breath, the wonders of emotional release, and especially for holding space. So there's a lot of things that we can touch on in this session. And first of all, I'd just love for you to let us know a bit about who you are and how you got here.
Sorry, say that again.
That's okay, I think the connection dropped. Just let us know a little bit about who you are and how you got here today.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Matthias, and I've been on quite a journey. I did work before I went into spirituality in the advertisement industry, and then I thought, oh, something is not the way, or my life is not the way I want to live it, and there are so many things I want to explore. And during this time, I was exploring the spiritual space, and I was learning pranic healing, and had my first experiences with yoga, and saw how that could help people, and how I did benefit of that, because I learned to understand certain things about life, about connection between people, between human beings, between all beings. And I was always so amazed by those spiritual masters, or the yoga masters during this time. Because they always had this calmness and this wisdom, and whenever they opened their mouth, I was like, where do you get those words from? Where do you get those inner peace, inner silence? And I always thought literally the world could break and they would sit there and be like, this is okay, this is actually fine. I'm doing good. This was one of the most inspiring things for me that brought me into this life, and into these experiences. And then I moved to a spiritual center. So I just dropped my old job and moved to a spiritual center, which was a farm and spiritual center where I taught yoga and did basically everything: permaculture, garden, kitchen, cleaning, seminars. And that was pretty exciting, and I learned a lot, because there were a lot of facilitators from all directions doing energy work, shamanic work, breath work. And the thing that catched me most there was the breath work. I did a lot of yoga. I'm also a yoga teacher, and I'm teaching for yoga teachers as well. But then the breath work hit me, and I was like, at first I didn't want to do it because I thought it was coming up. But then I experienced my first breathing session, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I've never felt something like this. And I was going through quite some hard time during before that, and it helped me so much to focus again and to get back on my track. And and that led me to emotional release, to David, and that's where I met you as well. And I was very happy that I could bring in all my experiences with breathwork and that to this space. And now we're here talking about that.
Yeah. And I mean, we know what breathwork is, and I'm sure a lot of people listening do, but if there's anybody who is like, what is this mystical breathwork that Matthias is talking about? Because surely we're breathing every second of the day anyway. So could you maybe just to give it like a beginner's 101 of what breathwork is?
Yeah. So you're quite right. We're breathing all the time. If we stop breathing, we die. And breathing has so much to do with our unconsciousness, and it inherits the power to bring us into this unconscious state, and from that into this deeply conscious state where we actually have connection to everything that is inside of us. So if you put it in a bad way, maybe some people of you know what a panic attack is. And maybe some of you people know what for example, a runner's high is, or maybe some people know what happens when you hyperventilate, or there are probably a lot of things you can connect with breathing. Or when you're stressed, your breathing will increase. When you're really calm, your breathing will be really slow. And what breathwork actually is like inverting this process from happening unconscious to making it conscious, to bring yourself into these states of breathing, to step into these into these conscious things that are happening within your body, and to actually bring your body into this state. So the method I'm working with is called rebirthing, and it's a method to actually give yourself a new life, or to give yourself a new view of your life. Like there's so many things stored inside our body, and everything who ever did an emotional release knows that emotions are stored in our muscles, in our body, and we can release them, and that it's also possible through the breath. So we just dive really deep into this unconscious level and bring it up to the surface. And then people get their release, people get their insights, people get their breakthroughs, and they just understand, oh, this is what was stored inside me. This is what I actually want to do. This is where all the pain came from. And it gives you also so much vitality back and so much life back, because life is the energy force. And in yoga, it's called prana. Prana is the word for breath and for energy. And if we really learn to breathe, like also Wim Hof is doing all these things. I learned a lot from this method too. It can bring so much vitality and so much life force back into your body. So, and we need that. We are designed to breathe. Actually, that's why we do it all the day. So, but we can learn to make it much more, much better.
Yeah, thank you. I know there's lots of different types of breath work. You've mentioned Wim Hof, you've mentioned rebirthing. How would somebody know which is the type that they should be trying? And yeah, how can they find out where to do all of these also?
So that's actually an interesting question, because whenever I find a system that works for me, or whenever I look at systems, I'm not thinking, okay, this is the right system for me, or this is the right system for me, because it can always change. Sometimes it's like level based, like, okay, you start with this and then you go with this. But yeah, like I see it more as like people should look at something and like, okay, let's try it out first and see if this is going to work for me. So people should try to just breathe and see what that does to their body. So what I'm always teaching is awareness. Like, people are thinking or asking the questions, is this right for me? Is this right for me? Is this right for me? And I say, I don't know if this is right for you. You have to tell me. And you have to try, and you have to feel inside of your body. It's also the same when I'm teaching yoga. People are asking, like, am I doing this right? Or am I stretching this right? And this is my job as a teacher. I watch them because I have a outside view, and I can see, okay, this works for you. Or how does that feel? Try a little bit more of that, adjusting. So I would always advise, if you go into breath work, to look for a teacher who can guide you, who can like give you feedback and guide you through the process, and then we work out the way that is best for you. Yeah.
I know a lot of people that I've spoken to about breathwork have a lot of resistance to the fear, because it's a lot of a fear of letting go. Sometimes a lot of physical symptoms, like you've mentioned, hyperventilation, panic attacks. So how can people maybe get past this fear, or is there particular ways to, I know the whole essence is surrendering, but
Yeah,
this is the main blockage I have when I'm like, try breathwork, and they're like, nope, don't want to try that. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's also really interesting, because first you have to understand where this fear is coming from. And like, normally people have this fear because they have been a situation where the breathing escalated, where it brought you somewhere you couldn't you couldn't bring yourself back from, and that's often related to a trauma. So whenever something really bad happens and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die, this process of breathing is connected to the fear of dying. So of course you don't want to breathe, of course you don't want to go there again. And this is also where the job of the guide or of the facilitator comes in, and this is where I'm really good at, to just sit there and be like, you're actually very safe, so we can do this. And we start really slow, and whenever something comes up, we can work through that. And so that's always the job of the emotional releaser as well, as the guide, as the teacher, as the guru. He's always the one who holds the space, who holds the trust for the client, or for the person who want to get somewhere. So and I always say, as long as I feel safe with my client, he will be safe. I've never experienced something else. So when I lose my trust that the situation is like too much for me, my client will lose his trust as well. He will sense that immediately. As long as I can,
Sorry, go on.
As long as I can hold space, he will have a safe space.
Okay. And in those moments where you've ever felt the trust goes, is that the point when you would stop the session, or maybe wind things back a lot? Has that ever happened to you, where the space has been broken? That's probably Good way to say.
Not really. Like, there were moments when I thought, oh, this is new. Can I really handle this? Especially in the beginning when I started, because I wasn't expecting certain things. So when people are really like in this deep state and they are having like visions, it's like sometimes it's like they're on a LSD trip and they are like totally out of space and they are thinking they are like in a war scenario, or like they are dying, or they're having severe pain. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is like, no one told me this could happen. But I had so much training in yoga, like doing all these meditations and like coming back to myself, which helped me like, okay, like settle, how can I serve my client right now? What can I do for him? How can I bring him in a state where he actually feels safe again? So, and I'm quite good at like sensing where people can go, or if they are actually ready to go beyond something, or if they are not. So you always have to know, like, can you go with your client, or does he need some more time? Like, and then it's sometimes it's this process of slowly like bringing him somewhere and like seeing, okay, can you manage? Can you do that on your own? Should I be of assist? Or, and like the most fun part for me, of course, is when I just can sit there and my client manages himself, when everything works. Like I don't have to do anything then. That's so inspiring, because it gives me the trust that or the feeling like my job here is done. Like my client can handle himself. So this is where I want to bring people, like that they don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
Like David from Emotional Release always said, when you're ready, the teacher appears, and how did he put it? When he's done, the teacher will go again.
Yeah. When you've outgrown your teacher, then the new one will appear, the next level.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, because this is also the ethos of INTUNE. It's with all the different life frequencies we have, giving people practices, tools, methods that they can be their own healers. So not being dependent on a coach for the rest of their life or a breath worker. It's like really building up your own repertoire of things that work for you as well. Because breath work may be really expansive for one person, and then yin yoga might be very expansive for another. So it's just having exposure to all of these things as well, which is, I'm very happy that that's the similar mindset that you have also.
Yeah, this is
go.
This is the thing with like teachings. Like whenever you teach someone, you want him to be, or her to be independent. Like the story of teaching someone or giving someone a fish and he will be satisfied for a day, or teach him to fish and he will have enough food for the rest of his life.
Yeah. And you mentioned a term previously, holding space. And sometimes I don't want to fall into the trap of speaking the language of the conscious community. And a lot of people I know are like, what does that mean to hold space? So it's very subjective, but what is your definition of space holding?
Space holding is actually what I just explained a little bit. To when a person comes into an emotional process or into an emotional release, the body is activating his subconscious to let something pass through, to let go of something. So, and what we humans tend to do is, whenever an emotional outbreak or emotional release appears, we try to, oh, please don't be angry. Oh, please don't cry. Oh, stop that. So, and it's because we can't handle it. We can't hold the space. We can't, like, we're so triggered by the emotions of the other person that we actually break the possibility for them to release. And that's why so many people are like, going through world like this, and we can't release anything, and we're always angry and constantly stressed. And this is to hold space, to actually teach people or be there and say, hey, it's okay. You're a human being. You have emotions. Please let them go. Please be free of them. Please.
Yeah, it's a beautiful practice that I think comes outside of breath working and yoga and emotional release. It's even, I know amongst my circles, it's when we do space holding, it's like, okay, no facial expressions, no feedback, just really, you're almost like a faceless presence that's just there, like providing this like energetic space for them to be whatever. And I do feel that you have to have almost done your inner work or gone to the depths of, if you felt the anger yourself, you're not going to be triggered when someone demonstrates anger in front of you. If you felt the depths of sadness, you also won't be triggered when someone's showing it to you, because it's, yeah, I think there's a lot of dynamics also with parents that they can't handle the emotions of their children if they haven't processed them themselves. And I think that's where it begins. It's not just society. It's like, if your parents are like, oh, don't cry, be happy, or like, yeah, I've had that growing up, when they're like, oh, please stop crying. And you're like, I want to cry. It's fine to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where the cycle starts as well, like with all those things. But I think both sides are needed as well, because we humans, we have empathy, and is also good. Like when someone cries, it activates in us the tendency to cry as well, or to be sad as well, because it helps us. Oh, I feel you, I understand you, I know what you're going through, I can be of assist. But then we also need like to differentiate and say, this is on your side and this is on my side. I can feel you, but I don't have to. I don't have to be in pain with you. I can just feel with you. So, and because when we are always like, oh, this doesn't touch me at all, like I'm always like this, going through, everything is okay. Oh, you're angry, I can hold space. Like maybe that works for some people, but for me, it's like, I don't feel very human when I'm always like this. So I want to feel you. I want to feel my clients. Sometimes when my clients are like in severe sadness, I cry with them because it touches me so much. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to feel you.
It's like the essence of being human and relating as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of coaches I couldn't really imagine that they cry along with clients. And I mean, this is just one of the reasons to add on to why I respect your work so much as well. I'm curious if there's any particular type of client you have, or any like preference or speciality that you work with your people who come to you.
I like people, or I like to work with people who are having like a vision for themselves, who know that there's something wrong in our world, something is not really going right. I want to contribute, I want to do something to change it. So, and I want to help those people to have the emotional strength and the emotional ability to work through all of this pain, which will be on the way to make the world a better place, to make the world more human friendly, actually. Because I believe that we did so human unfriendly, and I'm I'm pretty sure that's how things are, because otherwise people would be more joyful. They would, because we have so much abundance in our world. Like, look at everything. Like, everyone shouldn't have any worries at all, because of course there are spaces where there's poverty and where there things are not good, but in most parts of the world, especially the places we live or the people who listen to you live, they have everything. They have more than our grandparents could ever imagine, but they are still not happy. And the systems we've built as a society contribute so much to the sadness, to the anger, to the to how we live our lives, or how we make our lives miserable when we could have it all, actually. And we're getting more and more individual, and for our own, people are living alone in flats more and more. Like, everyone wants to be independent, because we have forgotten how important community is for us, how important it is to like lift each other up, to work together, not in a system where we want to take money for all of that, but in a system where love is actually the drive to do that. Yeah.
Amazing.
If you look at like parts in South America, there are lots of spaces where people hold more together. Like, whenever the government is not so strong or not so supportive for the people, you see that people have communities that work together because they have to. No one is helping them, and they need these collaborations. They need their families, and that's why they have big families to help each other. And like, I think we're actually there's so much done for us, and we think, oh yeah, we don't need friends, we don't need people around us. It's hard to have so many people around us. Everyone wants something from me, and yeah, I want to bring people together again. That's also what I found so so nice about this whole emotional release thing, because we were actually building this tribe feeling. And you, like, this is, whenever I'm in a group of like-minded people, or of people like I feel family with, I feel like this is the best life I can imagine.
Is there any way that, I think a lot of people would resonate with this feeling of, let's call it loneliness, societal isolation, even families like are very small nowadays. It's like two parents and the kids, and then like maybe a few aunties and uncles. And I can relate with that. I have a very small family. And if people are looking for community, looking to build connections, what kind of suggestions could you give to them to start finding this?
First, it is important to know what's important for you, like what you wanna with what kind of people you want to connect. And there's a group for everyone, because we're so various, we've become so various, so there are so many niches, so many especially in the urban areas. Like, you can be part of everything. You just have to know, oh, what do I want to be part of, and where do I want to contribute? Because if you don't know where you want to belong, you will belong somewhere where you just want to, where just the urge is satisfied to belong to something, but you don't know if it's for you. And so, of course, you can just try out, or maybe this is something for me, maybe this is something for me, maybe this is something for me, and just try out. Or you can like actually think, okay, what do I love more, or what do I do? What is my favorite thing to do, or what are the people that inspire me the most? So for me, for example, whenever I look for community or I look for people, I'm thinking like, okay, where are people who live already in a community, who are doing work which helps people? And then I go on Google Maps or go on the internet and see like where are people like this, where I can be, where I can go, and then I just go there and say hello. Like that's also what I did here in Portugal. There's a retreat center 2 kilometers from my space, and I just wrote them on Instagram and said, "Oh, someone there. I want to visit." And the owners were actually in Peru right now. They're in the jungle, but they said there's some people there over winter. And I said, okay, I'm just going to pass by and say hello. So that's what I did. And I met 3 awesome people. And now I slowly bring myself into the community there.
Something comes to mind if you say say somebody finds something that they're really interested in, like it's a particular group of a niche and they enter it. But you've mentioned about approaching these things with love, with open heart, and how would it work if like you found the thing you like, but the energy is off there and it's maybe not like unconditional acceptance and loving and everything? Would you recommend that they just don't go after the thing that they like, or start something themselves? Like, we're going very off topic, but I feel like you have a lot of wisdom about these kind of things anyway. So.
That depends. So when you go, like I used to, or I like to think about human communities as kind of systems. And when you go into a new system, which you don't know yet, like maybe there are two kinds of person. You could say like one person will be like, oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing that, they are so great. And the other will be like, this is not good enough what they're doing, it should be done like this, or this should be like those 2 types. And but at first, when you enter a new group, it's always important to like see, okay, where can I fit in? That's what people do automatically. They look, okay, how can I be a part of this? How can I become something which actually helps the tribe or helps the community? Because that's what our evolutional survival strategy is based on. If we are alone, or if we were alone thousands of years ago, we would have died. So we needed a group. So, and when we want to be in a group, we need to have certain skills or have certain abilities or do at least something which contributes the group, because if we don't, they will say, oh, you're just a burden. So, and I always think when I compare or when I try to analyze human behavior, I think of these situations like thousands of years back when we had developed our survival skills. Like if someone says to you, you're a burden, you're not enough, this is severe pain, this really hurts. So why does it hurt? Because it could potentially mean we're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what is triggered inside of us. So, but this is also what has the potential to activate our creativity, our inner strength, our ability to build something or to find something from which the system or the community can contribute. And most of the time we will find something, but it will take some pressure, maybe. And we're not used to have so much pressure because there are lots of things that are taken from us where we don't have to suffer, and life has been made really easy for us. So we say, when we want to make friends, these people are too hard for me. I'm having a hard time here. I'm quitting. I'm looking somewhere else. So same in relationships as well. We're going on dating apps and we try to find the perfect partner who's perfect already. And then if he isn't, we go for the next one, and we go for the next one, and we go for the next one. And this might be the same for friends as well, or for communities as well. Or for your job life as well. Yeah. Like I'm going from this job to that job, from this business to that business, because we're not, we haven't really learned that life needs hard work. Life is hard work, but not in a bad way. Life is hard work to make it great, to make it the best life you can imagine. Like, and of course, life is hard because the systems we live in are made hard for humans to fit in. But it also offers so much richness, so much abundance, where we can build systems where we can have all this abundance and the life we want to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I've often had clients who they're at the beginning of, let's say, this big hill, and like that hard work that gets to the juiciness of life, it feels very big, very scary. And what kind of advice would you give to people if they're feeling that, like, oh shit, I know it takes hard work, it's all the cliches, it's all the things we're told, and it's true for a reason. And how do you get people to push past that fear barrier, in a sense, or that procrastination, whatever it looks like, the blockage to building and getting to the life that they want to have?
Yeah, make the task easy, achievable, and fun, and not look at the big hill, or maybe look at the big hill and see it as an awesome journey you have to you can actually go through. But you have to be careful of the motivation you have and of the energy you have, because it's like, imagine you would play piano and you just started playing piano, and then someone says to you, okay, we put you in front of a big audience and then you play the piano, and you think like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too hard. And then imagine the audience is expecting from yourself to play Chopin. Mm-hmm. Like, and then you're like, there's this huge pressure, and the audience is like a picture for your own expectations, because you're expecting you have to be perfect right now. Mm-hmm. And then if you would sit there and play, you would just fail. And of course, there's no motivation to go on if you will constantly fail, because if you have always this big mountain in mind, which you have to reach, and if you haven't reached it yet, you're a failure. There's no motivation to do that. Your motivation will always be broken, because you constantly are in a mood of, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. and you will never be good enough. So you have to put on little steps where you actually know, oh, I'm good enough for this. And and then if I'm good enough for this, I'm also good enough for this. And like do those little steps and slowly move forward and be proud of these little steps. Like give yourself credit for them.
Yeah, it's almost like you do one note, okay, amazing, then a chord, amazing. Now you've done a whole line of the music piece. So it's like, yeah, it's really beautiful. I've just been sat here like basking in the gratitude, because the amount of coaches I've had on these podcasts so far, it's like every listener is getting a coaching session as well. It's, yeah, really, really profound and so simple as well, which most of the time is the answer to most of our problems. It's simplicity.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of the last things I wanted to touch on is, I mean, I'm always curious with coaches in particular who are working with clients, and because we're all tapped into the collective of the energies we share and the, I know, global issues and things going on. Is there anything that you're noticing a bit of a pattern in the people you're working with, and any, maybe it's even in your own process, particular things that you're noticing, some trends at all?
Yeah. What I find amazing is how you can, how much people can change in a very short period of time if they are in the right environment. So sometimes people have been struggling with a certain issue for years, or for their whole life, or they imagine it was for their whole life, and they didn't make any progress with it. And then there's certainly all of a sudden they are guided, and they are having the space where they are allowed to grow, and where they are getting constantly this feedback of they're doing good, and things are actually working for them, and then they're gaining back trust, and they are growing and growing and growing and growing. So and I find this pattern really interesting, because it makes me aware of how many people didn't get a chance to develop their horizons, their possibilities, their abilities to be great, to be the best version of themselves. And if I say the best version of a person, that has nothing to do with putting stress on someone, or like saying you're not good enough how you are right now, you have to be better. It's actually, we all inherit this huge potential inside of us, and it's like the seed of greatness which is in all of us, and I want to be a teacher who like nourishes and waters this little seed to grow, and it's crazy how little this is done for the people, because it just hurts me that people have to suffer so much of their lives until someone finally sees, you're a human being, you deserve love, you deserve everything you want to be. Like, and sometimes no one has told them. No one has really said to them, you're a great person with all your issues. You're lovable, you're capable, you're inspiring. when you open up, when you open up your all these things that are covering the real you.
Yeah. The authentic, real, vulnerable self.
Yeah.
As one of my teachers, Bob Proctor, always talks about, like, we have this, like, we are created almost in the image of God, not to be religious, but that we have this infinite creation energy within us. Like, we grow up and think we can only do this, you can only do this job, you can only do this particular thing. And it's actually like, you could literally do anything. Like, you have that power inside you, and it's so suppressed and crushed almost into like a tiny little box in people. And yeah, everyone's like, people are learning, people are getting, like, when they go through these, like, cracking open this box inside, and then they realize that there's like a nuclear star inside of them that is like waiting to create their life. So
And that's very interesting. Whenever people see that for the first time, this burning, pulsating nucleus, they're like, oh my God, this is really me, this is really inside of me. And they are so excited, and I love this moment when people find that.
And I think this kind of brings me on to the last point. So we talked about this before, that with INTUNE we have 5 different frequencies, and for me, a breath work would come under more the body, because you're using the physical body as this tool to do healing. But Delta, which is the spirituality aspect, it feels like these are so closely intertwined, because you are, through the breath, tapping into things in the inner world. Which frequency would you think it falls under most, or why do you think it's combined or not?
The breath work, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of spiritual work and body work, because in my point of view, it connects the mind with the heart, and you're using your body, but it brings you into your spirit. So it brings you into this higher consciousness, into this connected wisdom, and you can also reach those states where you just feel one with everything through breathing. So it's those both things, physical and spiritual area.
Yeah, I think breathwork is almost, for a lot of people who don't necessarily know how they relate with their spirit or their spirituality, it's, for a lot of people, not discussed in society. Like, we're not really a religious society anymore. Breathwork, I think, is a really good beginner's access point to connecting with your spirit. It's really like beginner's 101.
It's funny. I've been did a lot of work with spirituality, and I think the concept of spirituality is so interesting, because it has nothing to do with religion. Like, we are spiritual beings because we are made out of the spirit. Like, we are, like, every one of us has their individual world view or idea of how life should be, of how life is, of what is truth. And this view which we are creating, and every being has its own spirituality, you could say. Like, a dog sees the world very, very different than humans do. And we humans, we have certain or a lot of similarities how we see the world, but we are also so much different. And for me, this consciousness, like the way we consciously see, hear, feel, taste, smell the world, and those things combined, which make higher sense, this is spirituality. So maybe it's a So when I think of God, I think of the highest form of consciousness. So everything feeling together, or everything put together. This is God, but maybe it's different for everyone else, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, it's the most subjective of all the frequencies we have in INTUNE. It's not to be like, you must think this way. It's like, here are many different ways people think. What aligns with you? What resonates deepest? Like what,
exactly.
what vibrates with you as well. It's super cool. So I always love to hear people's definition of it, because I really, of all the people I've worked with, when I ask them their definition of spirituality, like at least 50% are like question mark. Like, what is spirituality? It's really, we're so distant from our inner world nowadays as well. But yeah, I feel like that could be a whole podcast topic on itself.
True. I would love to be in that. I thought a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm sensing maybe even like a mastermind around the different frequencies. So bring like 5 or 6 people together on a call, and we just discuss the actual frequency itself, not necessarily all these little niches within, is why I have the one-on-ones. But I'm feeling like there could be a lot of discussion rooms going on here. So yeah, I will happily have you for that.
Nice.
Okay, well, I think we can close. Is there anything else that's alive for you that you feel wants to be said or shared from you or your spirit?
Well, maybe make a little bit of advertisement for
Yeah,
myself, if that's okay.
Apologies. I know you've moved away from
No
Germany
problem.
now. So how can people work with you? How can they find you? I'll obviously list all of your socials and any websites you have on the description. And yeah, how can people work with you?
Yeah, so you can just hit me up on Instagram. My name is Humble Way of Yoga. And just take a look at my profile, read some of my text, or send me a message when you're inspired to have a breathwork session or to be guided in any way where you want to develop yourself, where you want to grow, where you want to be the best version you can be. Or
Beautiful. And are you doing these just online, or are you also doing in person in Portugal, back in Germany? How's this working?
So right now I just moved to Portugal, and I'm building up space where I can also work with people here. So when it's a little bit warmer, I can do sessions outside. We have a great garden. So you can visit me in Portugal if you like, and can do a little bit of retreat here one-on-one. But I'm also working on with a community I just met to facilitate breathwork trainings and retreats. And if you want to start right now, I'm doing it online. That's always possible, and it's a great way to try it out and to find your easy way into breathwork, and you don't have to travel, or you don't have to leave your living room. So it's made very convenient.
Okay, well, I will be sure to add all of those things below so people can find you. And yeah, I've received your medicine. I highly recommend that people explore breathwork with you as well. So I want to thank you again for joining. And yeah, I'll see everybody else on the recordings next time. Thank you.